I'm Vinnie Politan. Welcome to this special edition of Court TV Live. For those of you wondering why I'm on this time, why I'm not on a little bit later, my regular show at its regular time will resume on January 3rd. January 3rd, Monday, January 3rd, when all the courtrooms across America reopen. We'll be back in business with my regular show, 8 to 11 Eastern, Monday through Friday. In the meantime, this week from 5 to 7 all week long, we have a special look at some of the stories that we have been covering and continue to cover here on your front row seat to justice. Now, you know, we've got our Unsolved case file. This is a series of cases that need help. They need tips. They need more information. They need help from the public. Investigators need a break, and families are desperately seeking justice for their loved ones who are either missing or have been murdered. Tonight, we're going to take a look at 4 of those cases, and we are going to begin with one where there has been a development, a huge development. This is a case out of Florida involving Bee Love, who was found dead in a burned car down in Hendry County, Florida. At first, investigators seemed very confident that they could solve it very quickly. They didn't. It took a couple of years before we had any real movement in the case, and that's what is happening tonight. So let's take a look at a report from Michelle Casada from WPTV, our affiliate down in West Palm Beach, Florida, for the latest in the case involving the murder of Bee Love.
Many of the details of this case are still unknown. Detectives staying tight-lipped because they say this investigation is still ongoing. One suspect is in custody charged with murder and arson as an accessory after the fact, which means more arrests may be coming. Wearing T-shirts in memory of Bee Love Slater, her family feels justice is finally on the way.
They're very, very happy that we're moving forward and an arrest has been made.
In September 2019, Bee Love, a transgender woman from Pahokee, was found dead in a car on fire in Clewiston. Detectives have now arrested a suspect as an accessory after the fact and say they are still investigating.
We are steadfast in locking those up who are responsible or had anything to do with this crime.
Hendry County Sheriff Steve Whitten said it has not been determined if any hate crime charges will be filed against the suspect. Data from the Human Rights Campaign, an organization that fights for LGBTQ rights, shows the number of transgender or non-gender conforming people killed violently across the U.S. has increased 85% since 2019. In a statement, the organization says it's not enough to grieve the loss of victims of violence against transgender and non-binary people. We must honor their memories with action.
This is a human being that was murdered, and these evildoers that did it, we're going to lock them up.
The FBI is still involved in the case, and Sheriff Whitten reassures the community that justice is coming for Bee Love. Michelle Casada, WPTV, News Channel 5.
Okay, folks. They've taken one huge step, but there are more steps that need to be taken for justice for Bee Love Slater's family and friends and loved ones. Here's the phone number, 863-674-5600, 863-674-5600. That's the Hendry County Sheriff's Office. But as you heard, there has been an arrest. The defendant who's been arrested, Marcus Thompson is his name. He's charged with first-degree homicide, accessory after the fact, and arson after the fact. But as the sheriff said, the investigation continues, and they still need your help. There is the defendant who is now been arrested and locked up in custody. And I'm sure the pressure is mounting on Marcus Thompson because you heard those words, after the fact. Okay, when you say after the fact, it means after this horrific murder, someone is coming in to help, someone who has information, someone who takes part in all of this. So how do we get from where we are now to full justice for Bee Love Slater, her family, her friends, her loved ones. Let's bring in our special guest joining us tonight, former Special Agent in Charge at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Trebor Randall, and private investigator Jason Jensen is with us. Great to see you both. Trebor, this is huge when you make that first arrest. And unfortunately, so far, this is not, I don't think this is going to be the main actor in all of this. But this is someone clearly that has the information. And now the pressure is on because Marcus Thompson is now facing charges.
That's right, Vinnie. That's a step in the right direction. Obviously, when investigators finally were able to swear out warrants, that means that they were comfortable that the information or the evidence that they had, be it circumstantial, physical, and probably a little bit of both, was enough that they're able to move this case forward. As we've said many times, you don't want to rush a case forward and make an arrest, and then you don't have the elements that you need to prove in a court of law, and that person ends up back on the street. That would be, to me, even worse to the family than not knowing and not having.
Jason, once I heard that the FBI was involved, and I heard that there was an arrest, and it's not the main alleged actor in all of this, this is the way the FBI makes a lot of their cases. They will find someone with a little less culpability, you put the pressure on them, and you make them, they call it flipping, right? They flip, they start talking, and they're going to get a deal, right? So Marcus Thompson, I believe, will get offered some sort of deal, but he's got to give up some information. And it seems that this is someone who could unlock a lot of information for investigators and prosecutors here.
Exactly. Oftentimes this is referred to as the concentric circle approach, where you start off by friends, witnesses, working closer, you conspirators, defendants, until you get to the main suspect. The point is to build a case around that central actor, and that is what it seems like they're working towards, Marcos being one of those in the ring, getting closer to the main guy.
Now, there's a couple of parts to this case, Trebor. There's the scene, which is, again, set on fire, a horrific scene, a burned out car. There it is. How difficult is it to get physical evidence from a scene like that?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of bad actors watch TV like everybody else these days. So they know that when you try to destroy evidence, a pretty good way of doing it a lot of times is by fire. But again, there are still going to be items of evidence left behind. Just because you have a burned out body, number one, a lot of bad actors will do that thinking we're not able to identify the individual, right? If you can't identify the body, then you can't start looking for clues surrounding that person's disappearance. But obviously, we have other ways of identifying individuals who have been burned beyond recognition. Oftentimes, there are still items of DNA that we're able to analyze that are intact. There are areas that oftentimes do not burn, where there was skin contact with maybe a seed or something like that. But also, we have dental records. We had a case like that where we had a double homicide. An individual we were able to determine was shot point blank in the head, even though the car and the body had been burned beyond recognition. The autopsy is still able to tell us something. So a lot of evidence is going to be destroyed, but we still have really good forensic experts that are really good at what they do, and we're still able to a lot of times discover that evidence left behind.
Jason, another way to approach this case is looking at what was going on in Bee Love Slater's life. And in this case, I mean, the scene is, I believe it's like 60, 70 miles away from Bee Love's home. So from my perspective, doesn't necessarily seem to be a random act here. There might be some connection, and there could be some digital evidence that they could have gathered to get moving in one direction, at least, from a phone. I mean, there's every trial we cover now on court TV almost begins and ends with cell phone evidence and data that investigators can get from it.
Oh, exactly. The digital footprint that we leave day to day now is our biggest witness against us if we're involved in criminal activity. anything from your geolocation, where it bounces off of cell phone towers, to the messages that we convey, the phone calls that we make. Here in Bee Love's situation, what you were pointing out is the day before she disappeared, there was a message posted on Facebook, I believe, that Bee Love Slater should die. And that kind of stuff gets tracked in, and they locate where it was sent from. You know, the metadata is traceable to its geolocation.
We will continue to track it. Again, folks, if you have any information, there is the phone number. Make the call. They are one step closer. If you have that information or if you're involved, now's the time to turn yourself in, because they are closing in. You want to get a deal, right, and you're involved in this, now's the time. Now's the time. All right. When we come back, we're going to talk about another case that we've been following here on Court TV, which is the double homicide of this newlywed couple. It took place in Utah, Moab, Utah. Sound familiar? It's a city that was connected to the Gabby Petito Bryan laundry case. And is there a connection between these two cases? A lot of people trying to rule it out. But Jason Jensen, who's with us tonight, is actually on this case. So we will talk about the murder of Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner when we return.
From all the appearances, this was a perfect family.
This was never a who did it. This was always a what happened.
Durham 911, where's your emergency?
My wife's had an accident. She's still breathing.
What kind of accident?
Still downstairs.
It's the story that's the focus of the Netflix series The Staircase. North Carolina versus Michael Peterson, a novelist accused of murdering his wife.
Kathleen was my life. I whispered her name in my heart 1,000 times.
Anybody who wants to criticize that documentary as being unfair, you need to go and watch every minute of the entire trial on Court TV.
I am innocent of these charges, and we will prove it in court.
Something just didn't add up.
How do we go from soulmate and lover to cold-blooded murderer?
Was it murder, or was it an accident?
What killed this woman?
I know Dad's innocent. Michael was not the person that I knew him to be.
I would never have done anything to hurt her.
This is the staircase where Kathleen Peterson died that night. If you look at the bottom of the stairs, you can still see the blood stains.
Michael Peterson is guilty of first-degree murder.
The Staircase Murder Trial, North Carolina versus Michael Peterson. Available now on demand at courttv.com.
One of my biggest concerns is Kylan and Crystal's case becoming a cold case, and that I feel like our family is driving the investigation more than anyone else. We need to know if there's something out there that can help break this case and find out who killed Kylan and Crystal.
And we don't want that case to go cold. That's why we're featuring it as part of our Unsolved case series here on Court TV. That was Bridget Calvert. She is the aunt of Kylan Schulte, one of the two women who was murdered. These were two women. They kind of lived the van life. And it was the first time I ever heard the expression. They were living the van life before we ever heard about Bryan Laundrie and Gabby Petito's van life story. But then those two stories intersected in Moab, Utah, unbelievably. Here's Lauren Steinbrecher, reporter for KSTU in Salt Lake City, with the story. And I want you to pay close attention, because this is one that should be solved.
With positive vibes and nothing but joy in her smile, to Bridget Calvert, her niece Kylan Schulte was a ray of light.
Her having such a beautiful soul, to see it complemented with someone like Crystal, that they could really enjoy life and and do it together.
Kylan and her wife, Crystal Turner, got married 4 months ago, loved living van life, and called the outdoors around Moab home. Many people knew the couple around town, which is why when the two were no-call, no-shows to work, it was clear something was wrong. The family, all out of state, say police searched, but it wasn't until an acquaintance drove out to the South Mesa area and the LaSalle Mountains that they discovered the horrifying news.
She was on the phone with my brother when she pulled up to the car. She looks at the site and sees a body and tells my brother that he sent a text that said it's Kylan and Crystal.
The Grand County Sheriff's Office confirmed the two women were shot and killed, they believe, by someone else.
The evidence that we've gathered at this time, that's what it's led us to believe was an isolated incident.
That's all they can say for now. Bridget explained how friends told them the couple mentioned a man creeping them out near their campsite.
Saturday that they met up with, they said they were going to go move. They were going to pack up and move their campsite. That it was like he was still creeping them out.
The family is hoping someone can help them find answers.
What is very uncomforting is that there 100% is a murderer on the loose.
A murderer who took two lives away, but the family says will never put out the light, the love of Kylan and Crystal.
We're going to let their love light shine, that they had the most beautiful love, and that light is not stopping.
Okay, if you have any information, please call the Grand County Sheriff's Office. The number is 435-259-8115. Excuse me, 435-259-8115. Grand County Sheriff's Office, if you have any information about who killed Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner. Let's bring back in our guest, still with me, former Special Agent in charge at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Trebor Randall, and private investigator Jason Jensen, who is directly connected to this case. Jason, I'll begin with you and first start with the latest. Have there been any updates, any new information revealed in this case?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Vinnie, we could literally have an hour-long special on this case along with all the updates, but I'll try and be brief. We certainly haven't gotten narrowed down to any real suspects yet. We're still hoping that the public will help by sharing any dash cam video or any footage that they may have who were visiting the area between the 11th of August through the 15th of August. But as far as updates go, it's amazing that we've learned since all this that Kylan and Crystal actually observed Gabby and Brian Laundrie in their fight in front of the Moonflower Co-op that day, that, August 12th, when they were in Moab.
Wow. Let me ask you this, because some people have very quickly tried to dismiss any connection between the two cases, and I don't think anything should be dismissed until you've solved the case. But we know that Brian Laundrie apparently took his life with a gun. Has there been any comparison of the ballistics of the gun used by Brian Laundrie to take his own life and the gun that was used to take the lives of Kylan and Crystal?
We sure hope so. Nothing like that has been shared with us or the family, so we don't know, but clearly you're right. Brian Laundrie took his life with most likely a handgun. We'd like to know the caliber of that as well. We do know, and it's been publicly shared, that Kylan and Crystal were murdered with a 9mm handgun. So if there's any similarities in the type of gun used, that could either rule him in or rule him out as a possible suspect here. We'd like to know that because we'd like to move forward if Brian Laundrie is not responsible for this double murder.
And was there another aspect to this case? And what I'm saying is, was there a sexual assault, an attempted sexual assault or assaults? Do we know anything along those lines? We know that they were shot. Is there any other information that's been made public?
Nothing yet, other than the fact that they were found disrobed from the waist down, but that may have been their sleep attire. Oftentimes people do sleep in just a t-shirt. So whether or not that they were sexually assaulted, clearly the medical examiner would be, exploring that through DNA swab analysis or something like that. But that hasn't been made known to even the family privately, so we don't know that.
Trebor, Randall, what are your thoughts about this case at a campsite? They're living a different type of life and in a different type of place. It's not like they're in a house in a neighborhood. They're in a beautiful location, very remote. There aren't all these surveillance cameras everywhere. What are your thoughts about trying to solve this case?
I think the case is solvable. As you mentioned, Vinny, nothing should be ruled in or out at this moment. I know a lot of people honed in on the issue of Brian being in the area. Some people are saying, well, no, that's not possible. Could there be someone they had a disagreement with or someone in their life that wanted to harm them? Certainly, you don't rule anything out, as you mentioned. But however, the fact that this was a remote area, those who want to live the van life, as it's called now, it doesn't necessarily take anything away from what we would do as investigators. The other thing that you mentioned is in reference to the analysis of the weapon. Investigators, I'm sure, are anxiously awaiting that information from their crime lab, from the forensic lab, who is going to test fire, who is going to look at the rounds in comparison that they found in the area of Brian's murder and also what they found in Kristen and Kylie's murder. And that will certainly help investigators in terms of, putting him in or putting him out. Could there have been another weapon involved? And he was the suspect, absolutely. But you just don't go into this looking to, okay, well, as soon as we get the ballistics back, we can stop looking. You have to consider all options. Just like passerbys were able to capture a glimpse or a possible video of our other individuals involved in the previous case, the same could be for Crystal and Kylie. So we never stop looking for information. There are a lot of people who are adventurers, who are into nature. Who knows? Someone could have been out flying a drone that day. We certainly would look to our Google law enforcement partners to look at satellites and things of that nature. So I know that investigators are anxiously awaiting the ballistics and the comparison, but I'm sure they have not stopped and they're not just hinging the investigation on that bit of forensic evidence.
Jason, for folks who haven't been there, can you give us an idea of what the population is like, the people who live there, and versus how many people sort of just pass through? And any indication on whether Kylan and Crystal, I heard reports they may have been at a local restaurant or bar where they were last seen. What do we know about that? And is that a place that locals go to? Is that a place that people who are passing through might go to?
Sure. Basically, Moab is less than 10,000 residents, and we get more visitors in that area, tourists, than the people that actually reside there. It's a beautiful place to visit. It's got red rock formations, arches. It's popular for Jeep safari traveling, and basically what you have is more people come there than are suspicious there, and the community is very open, very liberal, very loving, very kind. Kylan and Crystal lived there. Everybody knew them, loved them. There's really no one really to suspect in the local community. There's been some stories of some, drug-crazed people living in the mountains, but they don't really interact with the main body of Moab. So early on, they were really scrutinized, but pretty much for the most part, they've been ruled out because the kind of information that they were sharing with law enforcement didn't coincide with the crime scene evidence. So we're really looking for anybody really that could have been visiting at that time frame. So, if somebody knows somebody, is a loose screw, was visiting in Moab in August 12th of this year, maybe they should call that in just as a conscience check, not necessarily because they find them suspicious.
All right, again, the phone number 435-259-8115. We'll continue to track this one in 2022, and hopefully we get some resolution to all of that and some sense of justice for the families. Okay, when we come back, we're going to continue taking a look at some of the unsolved cases. This one, a young recording artist and her producer boyfriend murdered inside his studio. Why did that happen, and why hasn't it been solved? The story of Lala and Kool-Aid when we return.
The streets had its own ideas of who it is. They've also had some people kind of talking about it, and that they may be looking at. I'm just not sure of what's going on at this point. But I can tell you, my family's been in suspense for the last 14 years, or as I don't know if this even going to get solved.
That's why we have it in our unsolved case file. It has not been solved, could be solved. Obviously, people know something. People have not come forward with information. We're talking about the murder of a young recording artist and her boyfriend who was her producer. Two young people trying to live their dream and literally making beautiful music is what they were doing. But both murdered. Case has not been solved. Our great affiliate WTMJ in Milwaukee has more for us tonight.
It was their families who found their bodies days after they were murdered. Yolanda Lala Brown and Jaton Claiborne loved each other, and they loved music.
We got one of Milltown's finest right now.
At the young age of 22, Jaton Kool-Aid Claiborne opened Loud Enough Music Studios in Milwaukee.
That was his thing, music.
Whether playing the keyboard or the drums, this music producer could always find a tune.
People love these beats that he would do.
We got the young producer Kool-Aid in the building.
And that's where he got the name Kool-Aid, because he would give you this great big old smile.
He was so excited about the studio.
But the beat stopped and gunshots echoed in the studio in October 2007.
What happened to Jaton was wrong.
Jaton's brother made the gruesome discovery.
He'll never forget what he saw. He'll never forget the smell and what he saw.
The producer, along with his girlfriend, R&B artist Yolanda Lala Brown, both shot to death inside the studio.
He had so much to offer the world, and his life was sniffed out by someone that just didn't care for human life.
We actually don't know what the motive, behind these murders were.
But police do believe the couple knew the killer. One of them opened the door to the studio. Nearby surveillance video shows the killer entering.
And moments later, you see a person running out of the studio.
Police said the entire crime happened in less than 2 minutes.
We can't even put into words the hurt.
Lala's father, William Brown, still mourns the loss of his beautiful, talented, self-made daughter.
She went out there and she read the books and found out how to do the music industry and try to get over with the bigger people, and this is what happened.
Milwaukee police say they have 2 suspects who are being held out of state on other charges. But so far, no one has ever been charged for the murders.
They think they got a pretty good case. I don't know what's holding up the DA right now.
Jaton Claiborne's mother says even as she waits for answers, the family refuses to turn the focus today on something negative.
I will not let this go unsolved. I am going to speak up.
She says she won't let their names die.
Jaton!
It's been way, way too long, 2007. Okay, if you have any information, 414-933-4444. 414-933-4444. How about some justice for Lala and Kool-Aid's families tonight? I had an opportunity to speak with Jaton's stepbrother, who made the discovery. He was the one who went into that studio and saw what happened. Take a listen.
I hadn't heard from her for a while. My mom started receiving phone calls stating that she had heard rumors, about things, and that studio had got robbed, and we hadn't heard from him. And all I remember is I'd been trying to reach out to him, and there was no answer on his cell phone. It kept going straight to voicemail. And then actually me and my other brother, we actually started to go out and look for him several places that we thought he would be, or some people, we started to talk to some people who we thought he would know. Received no answers. At that point, we decided, I'm like, well, we had gotten us, let me go back. We had gotten a rumor that he'd also moved. I was like, no, that's not like my brother. He wouldn't move and just not say nothing. And so we had to get into the studio. And at that point, we met at the studio. I says, well, listen, we're going to kick open the door. You know, if he's gone and his clothes are gone, then he moves. But if he's gone and his clothes are still there, then something's wrong. And so we kick in the door. At that point, you know, we walk into the back room of the studio, and we found them both. From there, we just kind of, you know, I got hysterical, upset, angry, pissed off, wanted to know who did it, still want to know who did it. Went down to the police department, and, you know, the rest is history. At that point, they all came and, you know, surrounded the place, put the tape out, and they started their investigation.
So again, here we are more than 14 years later. 14 years later, and you heard in the piece that they have an idea some people are in custody right now, but they're not charged in this case. It means this case is still unsolved. Let's bring back in our special guests. Special Agent in Charge, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Trebor Randall, Private Investigator Jason Jensen. Jason, how do you put the pieces together here? This is now 14 years later, but it seems investigators have a pretty good idea, just not enough direct evidence here.
Right, just putting on my cold case hat, you know, it really seems very cold at the moment because there isn't any forward motion. They had some suspects early on, but now here we are 14 years later, like almost 15 years. So what's holding it up? I would have to say, just looking at what we do know factually, there was a robbery that took place just before this double murder, and then, you know, something happens to these folks. Are they related to the robbery? Knowledge of what was stolen in the robbery would be helpful. Like, was it just cash? Was it something nefarious that they were involved in? Was it revenge? Was it to get rid of, you know, their studio equipment? Was this somebody that wanted to record an album and they were turned down? So this was some kind of revenge killing. It would be very helpful if some of this information.
Let me bring in Trebor Randall. We've lost Jason's signal for just a moment here. Trebor, looking at this, again, more than 14 years later, at this point, what can be done? How do you solve it?
Well, first, obviously, condolences goes out to the family of Yolanda and Jaton. Not uncommon that you have cases like this involving young people who are in the music industry. Something that you heard from the brother, he mentioned that the streets have an idea, and that happens a lot of times, unfortunately. The streets will have an idea. The streets will wait to serve their justice, and a lot of times they will not come to law enforcement with that information when you're dealing with, you know, the urban, the more, and again, I don't know what type of music they were into, but I know certainly here in Atlanta, the rap industry is very big. It is not uncommon that you see these shootings happen at the studios. The studios can be very dangerous, and not that these two were involved in anything that they should not have been. But again, it's not uncommon that the suspects will go to these studios thinking that there's going to be somebody there who may have cash, somebody who may have illegal narcotics. You don't know what they went there looking for. He mentioned that there was a rumor that they had been robbed, possibly, or had moved away. But the brother knew that that was unusual not to hear from his loved one. So again, this is not uncommon with these studios that you have this other element kind of lurking about out there using these studios as an easy target, because individuals who are either in the industry, hoping to make it into the industry, as with these two, could have others around who are helping them that may have money. Like I said, drugs, certainly here in Atlanta, that's the case. And it happens quite often. But it sounds like to me, the streets know more than they're letting on to. And sometimes they'll wait if it's 14, 15, 20 years to serve that street justice, which we always, want to advise against. But with suspects being in custody someplace else, who knows, the suspects could be serving a sentence for another crime. I know as investigators, we would certainly want to travel to that state and talk with those suspects as well.
Okay, if you have any information, again, 414-933-4444. When we return, we'll take a look at one more unsolved case, this one out of Ohio, involving a young man shot in his car, and it's in the middle of a neighborhood, but I mean, no one heard it, no one saw it, we can't solve it. Why not? What happened to Serreno Foster Jr., and why hasn't his case been solved?
This is no longer the search for missing children. This is the search for killers.
This stretch is just so beyond what anyone could imagine.
Breaking news in the case against Doomsday Prophet Chad Daybell.
Prosecutors say they will seek the death penalty against him.
Investigators have recovered human remains at Chad Daybell's residence.
There's no way, Logan. I should never come up with this.
Lori was his follower. Chad Daybell's the prophet.
Chad had a vision, plagues, and foreign troops coming to the soil.
Will his wife, Lori Daybell, turn on him?
It's just so hard to know where the truth ends.
All eyes on this Idaho trial.
Big ruling by the judge. The venue changed.
The further away you can get from the scene of the alleged incident, the better off you are.
Think about all the people that had to die and disappear. It's the Doomsday Prophet Chad Daybell on trial. Welcome back. Time to open up another one of our unsolved cases. This one comes to us from our Powerhouse affiliate, WCPO in Cincinnati, Ohio, and involves a young man, Serreno Foster Jr. is his name, shot and killed. But as you listen to the story, it seems like the answer could be found pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. Let's watch.
Investigators say the killer used Snapchat to guide Serreno Foster Jr. to a meeting this 18-year-old needed and used Google Maps to find. Then, halfway down this no-outlet drive in Avondale, the guy nicknamed Little Reno died, murdered, shot once, left in his own car, lights on and engine running for more than 12 hours before someone called 911.
From talking with the coroners, if somebody even had came out at the sound of gunfire, this young man's life would have been saved. He basically bled to death. So that's very heartbreaking.
9 months later, Little Reno's dad is desperate.
Say, if anybody knows anything, please come forward. Please try to help us out. I wouldn't want anybody's family to go through this or feel this pain that I'm feeling. I've cried for almost every day. It's hard. When I go home, I think of Serreno every day. Like, you know, it's hard to get this out of my mind. I can't believe in a million years that something like this will happen to your son or anything.
Cincinnati police detectives Marcus McNeil and Brandon Fields know Foster parked near this corner on Friday, December 11th, between 6 and 7:30 in the evening. They shared that detail, hoping someone listening remembers seeing what happened after.
We did not hear a thing or see anything.
Neighbors we met did not, but Lorraine Dean, mom of 2 teens of her own, has not moved on.
I struggled with it. What bothers me most is that he's a teenager and that he's somebody's child. Our teenagers are being murdered.
DePaul Crystal Ray High School, where Foster graduated with honors, has a webpage dedicated to him. He owned boxfuls of academic scholarships, $100,000 worth from Xavier, and a full ride offer from Wittenberg, where Little Reno planned to study nursing and play basketball. Instead, family of the kid whose heart helped his high school team win a state championship needs an assist.
It's unfair to them that we're at this point with no information.
I want to know why and who did this. Somebody needs to come, this needs to come to justice.
All right, if you have any information, just remember the look in Serreno's dad's eyes and the pain that he is going through. Make the call, 513-352-3542. 513-352-3542. Okay, still with me, Trevor Randall, Jason Jensen. I have one real question here, and I want two perspectives on it. First, Trevor, from law enforcement perspective, okay? Snapchat was lured there apparently through the killer using Snapchat. Tell me where we are right now in America with social media companies. Are they still, do they cooperate with law enforcement, or do they still pretend to be defenders of civil liberties and privacy while they're trouncing free speech left and right, right? Are they cooperating with law enforcement to be able to track down information, perhaps, from the user of the Snapchat app in this case?
Well, Vinnie, in my experience using social media, working a lot of cases dealing with kids, you know, none of them really want to be the bad guy when it comes to us trying to solve a murder or a child that's been molested or a child that's gone missing. So we have had pretty good success with the social media companies not trying to hide behind that rule of anonymity, so to speak. So when this story mentions Snapchat, actually, you know, my ears kind of perked up, because that's going to provide a tool for us to be able to at least have a solid lead, right? Even if the individual that he met with wasn't using their own Snapchat, or they had, you know, a ghost account, I like to call it, that they set up, there are going to be certain things that are going to lead back to a user, whether it be a phone or whether it be a computer, or the different ways that you would access Snapchat, mainly by mobile phone. But that does give you some solid leads. Like I said, even if it comes back to another name that someone else is using, we're able to kind of track that and look at patterns and behaviors of individuals and monikers. So that is kind of promising. But again, like you mentioned, the hurt on that father's face when it comes to this is his child, this is a good kid. So you typically are not going to, you know, it's not like you're going to say, okay, there's 100 people looking to hurt this kid. Someone met with him, messaged him through this app, from what the story is letting us know. And they met with him and obviously ended up doing him harm, whether or not that was the intent. And to know that for 12 hours, you know, he possibly bled out. If someone would have heard something and come out, they could have saved his life, is even more reason that I'm sure investigators want to, you know, just rely on the public to say, hey, you know, we're pleading with you. If you know anything about this situation, give us a call.
Jason, as a private investigator, have social media companies been responsive if you're trying to help victims or families out in getting some information?
They have actively sought and had Congress help them change the rules where they only have to respond to law enforcement to a warrant now. So back in the day, you could have a attorney issue a subpoena and that information would be provided, but not anymore. So they're becoming more and more just law enforcement friendly, and they're not, you know, really going to help in a private investigation. But other than that, from what I see here, there's kind of two angles here that you can explore to figure out who did this. One is who set up this Snapchat that was communicating with Serrano. The other thing to look at is, did they do a cell phone tower dump in that location to see who came in and out of that area at that time frame?
Very important. We're out of time. Trevor Randall, Jason Jensen, thank you so much for helping us in 2021. We're going to call on you again in 2022. Have a great new year. All right, folks, before we go tonight, I have a picture I need to show you. This is a missing child, Oakley Carlson, 5 years old, from Oakville, Washington, missing since November 30th. If you have any information, please pick up the phone, make the call, 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Grays Harbor Sheriff's Office. That's it for tonight. We'll be here 5 to 7 tomorrow night. I'm Vinnie Politan. Have a good evening. And as always, don't forget to hug the kids.